closing deals to opening minds. This is the Mr. D podcast. I'm Omar Andreasen, and we're about to get real about real estate, success, and the grit that it takes to build your best life. Let's dive on in. Welcome to another episode of the Mr. D podcast show. Today we have Alberto Nikodimov. He's actually a seasoned professional property manager here in the Central Florida area. He is the founder of Memories Vacation Home right here in Florida. They actually specialize in vacation homes management, investment properties, offering a full suite of services, including seamless onboarding, expert marketing, dynamic pricing, and full service management all the way through. Now, Alberto is actually known for his friendly professionalism and his multilingual fluency. He speaks English, Greek, and Bulgarian. Alberto is committed to helping clients maximize returns and delivers 5-star guest experiences. Alberto, thank you so much for coming on the show, brother. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Omar. Pleasure being here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. First question I got to ask, because I've been in this industry. What in the hell want you to open up a short-term rental management company?
That's a good question. It's a lot of work, right?
Oh my God.
It takes a special character to go into this industry. The short story is that I landed into this unknowingly and loved it. So I wanted to keep going with it. Right after college, I think we both spent some time in the UK. I graduated in the UK, and something was always pulling me towards the US. I wanted to come and build my career here. And I really like real estate. My first ever company was a vacation rental company managing luxurious rentals in South Florida, Miami specifically. And then we had some on the west coast of Florida as well, like Fort Myers Beach, Naples. And I started with them as an intern at the very bottom, doing like the worst things in the industry, like going, checking on guests and clogging bathrooms or dealing with late night parties, all kinds of weird things that nobody wanted to do. And eventually ended up building my way up. And a couple of years later, I was running that company alongside the owners. And I really loved it, learning the business from the very bottom to all the way up to the top, and how we manage not just the guests, but the owners, and what you do in order to maximize the profits of the properties. I really enjoyed the investment part of it. I'm a big numbers guy. And then started investing in some vacation rentals myself. And I am still investing up until today. And I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the industry. I love the fact that people save money for years to come and stay in one of our homes, and we have the responsibility to provide to them a great experience. And at the same time, I love the fact that we're helping our owners who are saving money buying these investment properties and then use them as vacation homes when they come here a few times a year, or purely as investment properties, which create passive income for them. This is what brought me into this industry.
Love it. But why the Orlando Kissimmee area so you were over in South Beach area, Miami, you were over in Fort Myers. What made you say, you know what, let's concentrate more over here in the Central Florida?
As here's the mega vacation rentals. We are the hottest market in the entire country, if not the world. And we have the most vacation rentals per square footage in the country. So I was recruited actually by another big long-term rental management company here in Orlando. They brought me in after I finished working in Miami, and I was working for them. I got to know the area very well. And again, I kept investing in vacation rentals. I love the industry and eventually ended up opening Memories, which has been doing very well for us. And right now we're operating mostly in Central Florida. Probably 70% of our properties are here in Central Florida, Kissimmee, Davenport area. But we also still operate in Miami, Fort Myers Beach, Naples. It's just there's so many homes here and a huge opportunity for our business around the parks.
Love that. Question. So let's say I don't live in Florida. I'm looking to, let's say I'm either let's say you have a lot of people from up north that want to have a vacation home here, right? So how can those investors identify high return properties? And I would say very in a crowded market here in Central Florida.
That's a great question, and that's really the golden question. My answer to this is always first, you need to know exactly what you're looking for as an investor. So I have different types of investors. There's people who are purely looking for cash flow. There's people who are looking for a mix between cash flow and appreciation. I'm just talking to clients right now who are trying to reduce their personal tax by buying a short-term rental. So that's another way of investing. And then there's the fourth type of investors, which don't really mind the returns, the cash flow, or the appreciation, as long as they can have a second home here, which they can come and visit for a month or two out of the year, and then it pays itself off, and it doesn't cost them money. So there's different types of investors. But if you want to talk specifically about the most profitable homes, which are in the best area and the highest chance of appreciation, you really need to do your numbers right. You need to make sure that you're buying the property because you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. So right now in this market is a bit challenging with the high interest rates. Cash buyers tend to have a huge advantage. If you are buying cash, first of all, you get to negotiate better deals because there's a lot of people who are struggling to hold these properties because they bought at the peak of the market with very high interest rates. So you can get a great deal if you're buying with cash. And cash on cash returns, they're pretty good still in Orlando and most of Florida. But yeah, I just purchased a property in cash. June 10th was the closing, and we got a great deal. We got under 15% under asking price, and the numbers are doing great. My advice is always when you're purchasing, make sure you run your numbers, make sure that it makes sense right now and the projections that you have are very realistic. Make sure that you're okay holding the property even if the rental revenue goes down at least 20%. Let's say we have a bad year or epidemic or something like that, so you can hold on to the property and not underwater. And then if it does better than that, then great. But do your numbers right, have few exit strategies. The biggest benefit of short-term rentals is you can do short-term rentals, but if that doesn't go well for you, you can flip them to a long-term rental, you can move in and live in them. You can do so many different things. So have exit strategies, do your numbers right, and make sure you're working with professionals like a great real estate agent and a great management company.
No, it's very true, very true. So, one thing that I would have to say, is there, because there's many different short-term rentals out there, right? You have condos, you have townhomes, you have single-family homes. Do you find that maybe a certain product does better, or maybe something that has of a more, is there a secret sauce, meaning that, okay, Omar, you know what? If you at least have a 4 or 5 bedroom with two en suites, let's say one bedroom downstairs, one ensuite downstairs, one ensuite upstairs, those usually do better.
It really depends. That's a great question. That's a myth in our industry. It's became like very trendy for people to recommend, especially back in 2021, 22, right after the epidemic, people to recommend 7, 8, 9, 10 bedroom homes, fully decked out with all of the decoration and themed room and Harry Potter, Mickey Mouse, Disney themes. At the end of the day, in my opinion, you need to provide some kind of experience. It needs to be not just a sleeping space. If you are just providing a sleeping space, you'll be competing on price and you'll be the cheapest ones will always book. So you need to really find a product that is unique to the market. It doesn't have much competition. And at the same time, you're providing some kind of experience. So you're not just competing on price. So I'll give you a real life example. I love multifamilies. I really love multifamilies. There's not many around this area in Central Florida, but around Florida, there's many different places where you can buy multifamilies and let's say have 4 units, 2 bedrooms or 1 bedrooms. And this is a great product because you narrow down your expenses because everything is under one roof. So you have one roof to take care of, one lawn, one pool, but you still have 4 units that are giving you income. So I love multifamilies. I own a duplex. And then some condos could be great. For example, budget condos, really, we see a lot of success there right now because you can buy some condos very cheap for 100,000, 200,000, and the rental rates that they're bringing by renting for $100 a night are very good. And if you buy them with cash, the return is great. And then, of course, the main homes that we see here on the market are 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 5 bedrooms homes or townhomes with pools. Those tend to do very well. but not the very basic ones. It cannot be bare bones, just put a bed in there for people to sleep, because first of all, you're going to attract the wrong type of clientele. There's so much offer on the market right now that people for $10, $20 more per night can book something very nice, themed, beautiful, where if you're just renting a sleeping space, you're not going to attract the best clientele. That's what I'm trying to say. Again, I'm a big numbers guy. It really goes back to how you purchase the homes. If you do your numbers right, any type of property could make sense. It's just what are you really looking for and what type of deal can your real estate agent bring you? Because at the end of the day, he needs to analyze your goals, what you're looking for, and give you a product that fits your needs.
No, yeah, 100% that makes sense. Now, when let's say we just bought a vacation home and we bring it to you and you look at it, you and your team, I'm going to sit down with you and you're going to tell me, okay, Omar, based on what we're looking at right now, you can get X amount per night. But you said something in that explanation that you said it's very basic. But if you spend maybe 10 or $15,000 more, our team will come in, spruce it up, and now you can make X amount dollars per night. Is that something that you and your team will actually like help us with?
Yeah, that's definitely something we can help with, but the right way to do this is to get us involved before you purchase the home. Why? Because we can be as a neutral party in there and help you and your agent say, hey, we see good success. Let's say your budget is 300,000, you're looking for a small town home, maybe with a pool, maybe not. We can tell you, hey, look at those 3, 4 communities. Here are the numbers that we're doing with our homes. If it looks basic like that, it makes this much per year. And here's the last 3 years of what we've been doing. Versus if you really want to make it top tier of the market, you're going to spend this much money. You have the option to either buy it basic and then upgrade it or buy something that's already upgraded. And this is how much it will make. So we give you all of that information ahead of time. We also have the inside information of telling you, watch out for this community because the parking is a nightmare, or checking in at 4 p.m. might have a 45-minute queue that your guests cannot check in for 45 minutes, which might affect the experience. Or watch out for, let's say, registration of guests, which might be very tedious to do and might affect the guest experience as well. We're operating in those communities every single day, and we are a great source to tap into with your agent to be able to give you all the information you need in order to make the right decision. So the best way is to involve us ahead of time, and we can help do build a very great team around you alongside with your agent and your vendors, and have planned before you even purchase the property. And that's usually the successful investors usually do it this way. They don't wait to purchase the property and then come to us. Why? Because they know that they want to have someone with experience to guide them throughout the process. Also, a couple of nightmare stories for you, especially in Miami. Here, the restrictions are a little bit more flexible, but in Miami, we had people buying the properties coming to us like, hey, I want to do short-term rentals here. Take the home and get it done for me. I'm like, sorry, we can't really do anything because you're not allowed to do short-term rentals with that specific property. And then maybe the agent didn't advise, maybe they didn't do their own research, whatever the reason, we cannot take on their home because it's illegal to do short-term rentals. And these guys now who are projecting 50,000 gross revenue with long-term can do, let's say, 25, and they're underwater from day one. So you need to make sure you work with good professionals who know what they're doing and get your team together before you even go out and look for a property.
Now, that's a very good point. Real estate agents, I hope you're listening to what Alberto just said, because that is massive. And especially if you're a real estate agent here in Central Florida, you guys need to be reaching out to him and his team to make sure that when you're sitting down and you're having that talk with that client, you're bringing Alberto and his team in on this so then they can really make sure that client that you have, number one, is very happy. Number two, buys more.
Exactly.
So I love that little piece of advice that you gave there. Now, we obviously
If you
know that.
before you go to the next question, if I can
Yeah.
just throw in something additional here. Agents, when they work with us, they tend to see great success because Investors usually want to test the market in a new area. Let's say Orlando, they've never owned anything, so they're not going to go and buy a $2 million home. They're usually going to start with a small condo for 200,000. If it does well, they're going to buy another one. If not, they can sell this one and buy a bigger property and do a 1031 exchange or something. An investor client for an agent tends to be like three, four, five transactions every 10 years or so, versus if it's a one-time home buyer, they usually buy one or two houses in their lifespan. So still do the same type of following up and bring them into your network. You might as well try to work with investors more because it's more transactions, therefore more money for you as an agent, and you get to be part of building a legacy for that specific investor or help them reach financial freedom through you helping them find great investment properties, which is what I really enjoy about this business.
No, yeah, that 100% love that. Thank you for inputting that. Now, we obviously know that it's very competitive right now out here in this market. So with that being said, how do you stay competitive during the peak and off-peak seasons and make sure that your homes that you're managing are getting at least, that getting that getting what they should be getting so then that investor is happy?
Sure, that's a great question. And the answer is very complicated. I cannot give you a 10-second answer, but I'll try to keep it as simple as possible without talking too much. So, first of all, you need to have a good track record. You need to be able to provide five-star experience to every single guest stepping foot in your property. So that really affects your profile of every single property, but of your profile as a host in general. So you need to have great reviews because people feel more comfortable and people are willing to spend more money when they know that they're pretty much guaranteed to get a five-star experience if your home already has 100 five-star reviews. Now, in addition to this, you need to be really concentrate on customer service. So you need to make sure that every time they need you, you're always there without being too much and without being over communicative, because people, when they're on their vacation, they want to enjoy their vacation. They don't want to be chit chatting with their property manager or Airbnb host. So that's another thing. Now, once you have all of those basic things, and some of those basic things are immaculate cleaning. The homes need to be perfectly clean every single time, inspected. We inspect our homes after every single check out. Once you have those basic things in there, now you start to work on the pricing and on your exposure. So your exposure is very important. You need to be listed on as many websites as possible. We are on over 30 websites. And then in addition to this, we also have a lot of direct bookings. We work with travel agents who also book our homes. We are everywhere. Very important thing to do that. And then the last piece of the puzzle is the pricing. How you price your home is extremely important. I cannot stress this enough. Dynamic pricing is super, super important. And there's different strategies for the high season where you want to book last minute because people tend to pay the most money when they book last minute, versus low season, September and October. You want to book far in advance, otherwise, you may not book at all. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Uh, I love it. Thank you for that. What future trends do you see right now shaping the short-term rental industry?
The most common one, which have has been emerging in the last, let's say, 4 or 5 years, especially right after COVID, is people don't book 3, 4, 6 months in advance anymore. People tend to gear more towards last minute bookings, and that means 2 to 3 weeks before their arrival, before the check-in. That's when they book. So if you are, let's say, dropping your prices too early, you might be underselling yourself and leaving a lot of money on the table. That's the biggest trend that I'm seeing. Also, back, let's say, 15, 20 years ago, our industry used to be very new and there were not many expectations. As a host, you could get away with not providing any toiletries like shampoo, body wash. People didn't expect anything. You did not have to provide even toilet papers. I've heard of 20 years ago, people were not providing toilet paper. Now people expect you to have hotel standards. So it has to be perfectly clean, fully equipped, without having any personal belongings or unnecessary things in the property. You cannot, let's say, park your car there because you're also their host, so you want to use their parking. No, it has to be completely their own home. And this is why VRBO is making their whole marketing campaign over Don't just book like a shared space, book your own private home. So this is another big thing that's been happening recently, and we as hosts need to adapt and raise our standards, make sure that we are, let's say, providing the same type of quality of experience that you would see in a 4 or 5 star hotels, especially us gearing towards more luxurious products. We have some, let's say, $4 million vacation homes. You cannot get away with not being there for your guests, communicating fast, or not having the home clean, or not having it fully supplied, even oversupplied sometimes. So those are two big things I'm seeing recently. How about you? Have you noticed anything?
The only thing I've really noticed is that the sales of short-term rentals are have definitely declined. That's what I have seen. It hasn't been like, man, when I first got started, it wasn't short-term rental, so it was booming. Now I see the numbers are have definitely declined. They haven't been as busy as they were in the past 2 or 3 years, and I see a lot more people that have purchased short-term rentals kind of want to get out of them. Have you been seeing the same thing?
Right, yes. And that's pretty much what we talked about a little bit before getting live on here. If you had purchased, let's say, 2022, end of 2022, beginning of 2023, you're pretty much okay because you got those low interest rates. But if you purchase 2023, end of 2023, 2024, at the top of the market with the top of the market interest rates of, let's say, 7%, or even some foreign investors paid like 8.5, 9% interest rate, then that kind of puts us as property managers in a very hard position, because no matter how good we do, this is what the home can produce. We cannot do miracles with the home. So then if you buy wrong, if you don't buy right, and if you overpay for a home and you over leverage yourself by having a very expensive mortgage and interest payments, then there's very little we could do. So I do agree with you. We do see a lot of homes struggling and being able to sell. But at the same time, it's worth to mention that people who purchased, let's say, back in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, even 2020, they're doing extremely well. They have double-digit returns, net returns, because they purchased well, and those homes are still renting good. Maybe not as good as 2021, 2022, where all of the tourists were coming to Florida because nowhere else was open. But they're still doing very well because they purchased well. So I'm not saying that if you didn't buy back in 2015, you pretty much can't do anything about it. There's still some very good deals going around, but you need to be careful, and you need to run your numbers very well, and you need to work with agents who can put you in properties that can really produce good returns for you.
Love that. All right, so I got two more questions for you. Now, this last one here, I don't want you to be too biased, but what should somebody look for when they're looking into partnering with a management company?
That's a very good question. So the reason why I started Memories was because I was working for other companies which were doing very well, but I also referred a lot of my clients to other management companies across the US. And since vacation rentals are a new industry, I saw a lot of people really getting, what's the nice way to say it,
Now you
getting
can.
their investment run down to the ground. Let's just say it that way, from bad property managers. So why is this so bad? Because if you have a bad property manager, you can have the nicest property, the nicest community, in the nicest location, very close to major attractions. But if you pick the wrong property manager, they can drive this property down to the ground. For example, if you have two properties, long-term rentals, let's take long-term rental industry, for example, and they're renting your house renting for $2,000, and the exact same house next to you is renting for maybe 2,100 or 1,900, you're going to be 10% up or down, no matter who is your property manager. But in vacation rentals, unfortunately, you can have the same house, and let's say exactly the same on the inside. And a good property manager produces, let's say, easy numbers, $50,000 a year. A bad property manager is not going to be 45,000, 10% down. Bad property manager can do like 20,000 a year, which is a huge difference. That's the first thing. The second thing is you need to look for transparency. Transparency, I think, is the most important thing in our industry. You want to work with someone that you can trust, and you know that they'll do the best for your property with your best interests in mind, and they won't spend your money in a way that's not appropriate. You need to work with property managers who are geared towards investors. You need to work with someone who is flexible. For example, the bad property managers, unfortunately, the bad apples come with the full package. You don't get any of this. So you usually get a very long agreement. They lock in a 1 or 2 year agreement, which is very hard to get out of. And while you're in with them, you can get milked out of a lot of money because they're trying to make money off you, not just on the commission that they get, but also on markups that they have on maintenance work, AC work, handyman work, anything they do at the property. They pretty much never show you invoices. With us is the complete opposite thing. Any vendor that works in the property is licensed and insured, and we give you an invoice of exactly how much we paid that vendor, and you can see that transparent right away in your owner's portal and in your monthly statement. We are also on a month-to-month contract, which makes us very flexible, and I'm not trying to promote ourselves, but anywhere around the country, if you are going to work with a property manager, try to work with someone who is having that base model, because that's where I see our industry going right now. Why? Because that means that they're comfortable in their and confident in their service. They're pretty much, if you're on the basis of, if you're happy, you stay. If you're not happy, you're welcome to go. So this pretty much speaks of confidence, right? Another thing that people never ask me is, hey, do you guys handle the licensing and taxes that you need to pay to the state, to the county? Nobody ever asks for that. They're like, what should I do to make my property cuter, more visually pleasing and attract more guests? But if you, let's say, have a super nice property, makes a lot of money, but you never paid county and sales and state taxes, they're gonna go after you. They're gonna put a lien on the property. There's a lot of things that can happen. And I can keep going on, but you need to work with someone that you can trust, someone that you know is there for the long run, someone who is not looking to make money off you fast and then move on to the next guy. I prefer boutique companies. I'm not saying anything bad about the huge operators because they're up to 5,000, 10,000 properties for a reason. They were good in something that they did. But usually you want to work with someone who is smaller because they tend to have personal interest in your property. You're not just one of the many, you're a client that they know by name. And yeah, I think those are the major things that you need to look for. Again, if we're having that conversation private in a bar, we can go for hours and share horror stories. So
Very
I'll try
true.
to keep it short.
Very true. Love it. Love it. Yeah,
Anything I missed?
no, there's a lot of things that you missed, but you said it perfectly though. If we were at a bar, then the horror stories will probably last for about 3 to 5 hours because I know I definitely have my own coming from that. Actually, that's where I started my real estate career in short-term rentals. And some of the stories that I have, and told my wife, she's, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "No, yeah, that happened." So
Bad things
yeah,
happen, yeah.
one
The
of
important thing I want to mention, Omar, is many people think of us property managers as someone that is just there to book your place to make money with the place. That's not what we are here for. We have three major responsibilities to our owners. The first one is, yes, maximize the income that you can have with that property. At the same time, preserving the asset is super important. You need to make sure that the asset is very well maintained and it keeps appreciating. You cannot run it down to the ground and keep like renovating every few years. And the last one and most important one is liability. We're here to protect you as an owner. We need to know all the ins and outs of the industry, protect you because there's so much that you can that can go wrong. You're hosting hundreds, if not thousands, of people in your home every single year. It only takes one accident, one slip and fall for them to sue you. And if you don't have the right things, like let's say pool gates around the pool in case there is an accident happening in the pool, or if you don't have a smart lock which has different codes for every single guest who checks in your property, or let's say you don't have a proper liability insurance, because as an agent, I'll share that with you real quick. But let's say a lot of people come to us and they have a regular homeowners policy on a vacation rental home. You cannot operate that way. You have to have a specific short-term rental policy which allows you to do vacation rentals. Otherwise, no matter what happens at your home, if they find out that you had a guest, a vacation Airbnb guest, or let's say any other guest in the property rather than tenant or you personally living in the property, they won't cover any of those claims, so you're paying insurance for no reason. So very important for your property managers, not just book your home, but maintain the quality of the home, maintain the asset, and limit your liability as much as possible.
Love it. All right. So, last question. If you could leave just one deed behind, one action, mindset, or even lesson for every real estate professional or entrepreneur listening to us today, what would that be?
That's an awesome question. You're putting me on the spot here. I'll go with my personal motto, okay? It might be very simple, but it's worked out for me, and that's how I teach my team and I coach my team here in Memories. We always say, real is rare. What does that mean? Real people nowadays are very rare, especially in the real estate industry, in the entrepreneur industry. Everyone's saying fake it until you make it and fake your way up until you get where you want to be, act like you are, even if you're not. I don't really agree with that. You have to be real to your values. You have to be a real person. You need to come out and always put yourself out there, speak responsibly, and be true to your values. And that will help you be in business in the long run and help you make money, achieve your goals, whatever your goal is. And people tend to appreciate that because as a real estate agent or us as property managers, we work with people who made a significant amount of money that now they're willing to invest into the market. They're not stupid people. If you're faking it, they can smell that from miles away. So be real, be true to yourself, and I think that will take you a long way.
Alberto, that's awesome. I can't agree more with you on that one. You definitely hit the nail on the head. Guys, listen, actions build empires. Stay focused, stay hungry, and give life a whammo. I'm Omar Andreasen. Thanks so much for tuning in to Mr. Deeds. And once again, Alberto, thank you so much for giving us all these gold nuggets. Guys, Alberto's information, his contact details for his company will be right here, right below. Please make sure that you reach out to him. If you're a real estate agent, you need to talk to him first before you even start getting involved with short-term rental marketing. Sit down with him and then get his team involved as well when you're working with that client. Alberto, thank you again so much. Loved it.
Thank you, Omar.
This is Omar Andreasen signing off and reminding you that success in real estate and in life is built one deed at a time. Until next time, keep it real, stay sharp, and don't forget to give life a big whammo and keep moving forward.